magic of storytelling as we present to you pumpkin stories. Your dreams are but a tale away. I'm glad to present you with yet another video from the ASMR Bedtime Stories series. This one talks about a beautiful princess and her envy stepmother. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more bedtime stories for all age, to leave a like, to support it, and to share it with a loved one to make them live a magical and relaxing adventure. Now, relax and enjoy Sleeping Beauty. Once upon a time, a princess named Snow White lived in a castle with her father, the king, and her stepmother, the queen. Her father had always said to his daughter that she must be fair to everyone at court. Said he, people come here to the castle when they have a problem. They need the ruler to make a fair decision. Nothing is more important, to be fair. The queen, Snow White's stepmother, knew how much this meant to her husband. At the first chance, she rushed to her magical mirror. Mirror, mirror on the wall, said the queen, who's the fairest of them all? Snow White is the fairest of them all, said the magic mirror. What? Yelled the queen. No one is more fair than I. The queen must have the best of everything. Everyone knows that. What could be more fair? Snow White is the fairest of them all, repeated the magic mirror. What do you know? You are a mirror, roared the queen, and she stormed off. Still, the queen was bothered. So bothered was she that the queen decided to be rid of the girl once and for all. I cannot wait another day, she declared. The queen called for her servant, a huntsman. Find a reason to take Snow White deep into the woods, she said, pointing her long finger at the servant, and then kill her. The huntsman was shocked, but she was the queen, and what could he do? The next day, he took Snow White into the woods. As he drew his knife to slay her, Snow White turned around. Look, she said, taking something off her pocket. You always have been good to me. She held in front of him 6 perfect arrowheads that she had carefully shaped. Do you like them? She said. They are for you. Snow White, said the huntsman, I cannot do this. Of course you can take these, said Snow White. That is not what I meant, said the servant. He dropped to his knees. How can I say this to you? The queen, your stepmother, ordered me to kill you, he said, but I cannot. huntsman far into the woods now and never come back to the castle. Snow White turned and ran into the woods as fast as she could. Deeper and deeper she ran. It was getting dark, and the wolves were starting to howl. She tripped, and her skirt was torn. Tall tree branches seemed to reach down to the very ground to grab her. She was scratched, bleeding, and scared. Yet she ran on and on. Then, all of a sudden, far away, there was a light. Who was leaving so deep in the woods? She stepped up closer. It was a cottage. Yet, no sound came from the cottage, only light from the windows. "Hello," she said, knocking softly at the door. "Hello." No answer. The door was a little bit open, so she opened it some more and stepped in. "Hello, is anyone home?" She looked around. What a mess. She had never seen a messier living room. This cottage may be the biggest mess I ever saw, she thought. But it's a roof over my head for tonight. Maybe if I clean up around here, I can earn my sleep. As she cleaned, she thought of someone she already missed. Before her father had remarried, she and a prince who lived in the next kingdom were getting to know each other. They would take long walks in the royal garden and tell each other stories and laugh. After the queen had moved into the castle, her stepmother had made a new rule: no more visitors. Now the prince had to slip over the palace gate in secret. He would call out to her from under her window, and they could talk a bit that way. It wasn't as good as the long walks, but it was the best they could manage. Now that she had to run away from home, would she ever see him again? After Snow White cleaned up the living room, she went upstairs. On the second floor, there were 7 little beds lined up in a row, as it for children. Tired from cleaning, Snow White yawned and lay across all 7 of the beds. Soon she fell asleep. In the meantime, the 7 dwarfs were heading home from a long day of walking in the jewel mines. When they opened the door, you can imagine their surprise when they saw their cottage all cleaned up. "What kind of magic is this?" said one of the dwarfs, whose name was Doc. "I wouldn't mind more magic like this," said another one of the dwarfs with a smile. His name was Toby. "We'd better check upstairs," said another dwarf, whose name was Grumpy. "Something is fishy around here, that's for sure." There, lying across all their beds, there was a young lady, fast asleep. said all the dwarfs at once. Snow White bolted awake. The 7 dwarfs could tell she was as surprised as they were. Soon they all relaxed and shared their stories. Snow White learned their names: Bashful, Doc, Dopey, Grumpy, Happy, Sleepy, and Sneezy. She told them all about her stepmother, that her stepmother had tried to get the huntsman to kill her, that the huntsman had set her free in the woods, and that she could never go back home again. "Stay here with us," said Bashful. "That's sweet," said Snow White, "but if I were to stay here at your home, I would have to do something for all of you." "You already cleaned up our place," said Sneezy. "Keeping the house clean will be easy," said Snow White. "As long as we all pitch in, I will let everyone know what part they can do, and I will do my fair share too, of course." "That's fair," said Happy. "But there must be something else I can do for you," said Snow White. The 7 dwarfs shrugged. "Do you know how to read?" said Doc. "We have these books filled with the wonderful tales, and would love to be able to read them, as it was agreed that Snow White would teach them how to read." To celebrate their new friendship, Snow White and the dwarfs sang and danced the night away. The next morning, before they left for work, the 7 dwarfs warned Snow White she must not open the door to anyone. After all, who knows what evil her stepmother might do? The princess nodded in agreement, and the dwarfs left the house. The princess prepared her first reading lesson. She also prepared a good hot meal for the 7 dwarfs when they returned home that night. And so the day passed. Back at the castle, the queen marched up to her mirror. "Mirror, mirror on the wall," she declared, "who is the fairest of them all?" "Snow White is the fairest of them all," said the magic mirror. "That's impossible," screamed the queen. "The girl is no longer alive." "Snow White lives," said the mirror, and an image was shown on the mirror of Snow White living in the cottage with the 7 dwarfs. The queen turned red with rage. She screamed, "Who does she think she is? Snow White will not get away with this." At the cottage of the dwarfs the next afternoon, when the 7 dwarfs were away at work, there was a knock on the door. "Who is it?" said Snow White. She remembered the warning of the 7 dwarfs not to open the door to anyone. "It's only a poor old woman," came a squeaky voice, "selling apples." Yet it was the evil queen, disguised